But I'm going to be talking about the 10 mental thought processes of leadership. And it's something that I'm truly excited about. Leadership is probably one of my favorite topics when it comes to mindset. So let's get into it. As we go into this, here's what I want you to do. I want you to measure yourself from each level that we talk about. So when we talk about the first one, I want you to measure yourself from 0 to 10, right? So I want you to find out where you are on a scale from 0 to 10 in this area of leadership. When you figure that out, whether it be a 7 or an 8 or a 9 or a 10, I want you to mark that number down. Because what we're going to do is we're going to go through all 10 of these things, and when you scale yourself from 0 to 10, so you'll have a number from all 10 with all 10 of these things, you'll have a number between 0 and 100. So I want you to take that number and look at that final number, add them all up and look at that final number, and that's going to give you a scale of where you are leadership wise. So if you're in the 80 to 100 percentile, you're what I call a professional leader. You've mastered the art of leadership. When you've gotten to the professional level, you have mastered the art of leading others, but you've also mastered the art of leading leaders. Now, if you're somewhere in the 60 to 80 percentile, you're an amateur leader. And that's not a bad thing. It just means that you're developing to become a professional. And you're doing everything that it takes to get yourself past. And I would challenge you to see where you are slipping in each area and try to move it up a notch. Sometimes all you have to do is move each thing up one notch, or maybe you have something that you know you could be better at that you just haven't been doing, and you can move that up 5, 6, 7 notches. But once you get to 60 to 80%, then you what I call an amateur leader. You're in the development phase to become a professional. And that's the best place to be. I mean, I've been an amateur leader before, right? I've been the person that's been in development to get to leadership to where people will follow you wherever you're going. And so it's so important for you to get that down, get that development process down. And this is going to help you develop into a professional leader where people don't just hear your vision, but they follow your vision. Where people don't just hear your direction and hear your lead and hear you speak and have no action behind it, where people hear you speak and they say, let us march, let us move forward, because this is the person that I'm looking to follow. This is the person that I think can take me to the goals and my dreams and my aspirations that I have in the future. So measure yourself from 1 to 10. If you're anything below 60, it just means that you have some work to do. You've got some work to get to a place where you become an amateur, because if you're anything below 60, then most likely you're leading people maybe by accident, or maybe in and out of leadership, or it's just a couple of things that you need to get a little bit better at in order to move yourself into a place where you can actually lead others. When you're in an amateur role where you're developing to become a professional, you really have the ability, you can lead people, and you probably have no problem leading people, but what you probably are getting stuck at is leading leaders. And that's really where the professional side kicks into place. Where you become a professional, you have the great ability to lead leaders. And it's so important to get to the professional level if you want to move a massive group of people. Let's say you have just started a business and you've got 10 employees, and you want to grow that 10 employees to 15 employees, to 20 employees, to 200 employees. You've got to get to the point where you become a professional, because you've got to be able to display a vision, not just to the massive amount of people, the 200, but the leaders who end up coming and formulating underneath that 200, right? You've got to be able to lead them to effectively lead the organization. And that takes a professional level of skill. So what I want to do is I want to go over these 10, and I just want you to scale yourself. And at the end of each video, I want you to tell me what's your score so far. Tell me what your score is. Comment in the video below. I'm super excited. So let's get into it. So the first mental thought process of a leader, what I like to call informational equity. Now, do you have informational equity? Now, some people might say, well, what the heck does that mean? Informational equity, I don't really know what that is. There's two aspects of informational equity. But here's the question. When you step up into the bank of leadership, do you have anything to deposit? Do you have wisdom to deposit? Do you have experience that you can deposit? When I'm leading people, my goal is to know as much as I possibly can about the core aspects of whatever I'm doing. I need to know, I need to have, now you're never going to be the best at everything, but my goal is to be better than the rest of my team as much as I possibly can on the core aspects. Some people, if you have a niche thing, Some people have, you can't be better than, if you're a leader and you're not a tax attorney and you have a tax attorney as a person that's on your team, you'll never be better at being a tax attorney than that person. But you want to be as great as you possibly can on the core aspects of the organization, let's just call it a business, of the business that you're running. You got to be the best at this. And as you get better at this, whether you be a sales leader, an entrepreneur, or whether you're a mom or a dad, or you're trying to lead your family as a husband or a wife, it doesn't matter. You can use these principles. So do you have anything to deposit? Your goal is to be as great as you possibly can. This first area is probably the foundation area of depositing the right stuff and having that equity to have people follow you at any moment in time. So, info, what's the first part? You gotta fill your tank daily. And this is the issue that I have with a lot of leaders. Is a lot of leaders, they try to get by on talent alone. And talent alone won't get you there. You have to take the time and get the knowledge. And that takes dedication on a daily basis. Every single day, you got to be growing. You got to be becoming better. Look, the better you become, the easier it is to lead others. The better you become and the more knowledgeable you become in your area of expertise, in your core functions of whatever you're trying to do, the better you can lead other people. People are just looking for look, the average person, most people are looking for a leader. Most people are looking for somebody to tell them, look, here's what you can shift to take your life to the next level. Here's what you can do a little differently than you've been doing to take your entire business to the next level. Here's the small changes you can do to become a better parent. Here's the small changes you can do to become a better husband or a better wife. Everybody's looking for a level of leadership. And even if you're high in one area of leadership, you might be high in the business area, but you might need some help in the marriage area. You might be high in the marriage area, but you need some help in the spiritual area. You might be high in the spiritual area, but you need some help in your financial area. You might be high in the financial area, but you need some help in your parenting area. We all are looking for leadership. Even if you're a great leader, even great leaders. Think about Michael Jordan. He still looks for leadership. He still looked for leadership, even though he was the greatest player that played the game of basketball. He still looked for people like Phil Jackson and other coaches around him to help guide his greatness, right? We all need help guiding our greatness. But we have to be, if we're leaders, we've got to fill our tank to the point where we can help other people, guide them to their greatness, right? Because everybody's looking for it, but they need somebody who's willing to commit daily to creating the equity inside, the internal equity needed in order to take another person and pull the greatness out of them, right? So, informational equity, you've got to fill your tank daily. The second thing you have to do is never stop. Now, here's the thing about this. Is you never have arrived in leadership. You can have 1,000 people follow you, 10,000 people follow you, 1,000,000 people follow you, and you have never arrived. And a lot of times, most people take their foot off the gas and they say, well, I'm already creating success. I don't need to keep growing. Look, you're either growing or you're dying. There's no such thing as in between. There's no such thing as neutrality, right? You're either on one side or you're on the other. And if you're not growing, you're dying. And if you're dying, then every single day, the people who are below you, they're getting better than you because they followed your lead in the beginning. And they don't know that you're not growing anymore. So they're continuing to grow, and at some point, your team will outpace you. And when they outpace you, then they start to ask themselves, why are they following you? As they grow, they feel like, I know some stuff. I got this down pat. I actually know more than you. Now, you can actually avoid the teenager phase. Here's how. Is you do the things necessary as far as growth is concerned, where they see you constantly growing and becoming better. They see you operating in different ways that make it seem as if you understand on a higher level. And the more you keep them close enough to watch your growth, the more they start to look at you as being the person that has the information needed in order for them to follow you, regardless of how much information they're getting. So a lot of times leaders, they stop growing and they have people start to question their leadership because they see them and they say, I've grown more than you, and because I've grown and I see my growth and I'm looking at you and you're still the same person that you were 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, now maybe I have the answers and you don't. You'll start to get people questioning you. So you don't want that to happen. You got to grow constantly. And even above that, look, we've never arrived. Look, the honest truth is we don't have all of the answers. No matter how good you are, no matter how great you are as a leader, no matter how great you are as a person, as a human being, as a business person or a parent, we never have all of the answers. So constantly growing is a must. So you have to increase your equity though, right? So first you need to have the informational equity. You also need to increase it. So let's talk about increasing your informational equity. First thing you need to do, have books, audios, videos, seminars, associations, mentors. All of these things increase your informational equity. You got to get the books. You've got to go to the audios. You got to go to the mentors. You got to get the associations. You've got to get around the right people. You got to go to the seminars. You got to go to the trainings. Like, there's just no substitute from getting it. Look, somebody has spent 20 years of their life and got experience and became great at it. Then they decided to write a book on all 20 years of their experience. And they locked it up in a book. And you can read it in a week, in 30 days, in 2 months, in 3 months. You can take 20 years of the experience and read it in 3 months. Now, my question to you is, if you can do that, why don't you? If you want to become a great parent, and there's a book on parenting, and somebody has mastered the art of parenting where they have an amazing relationship with their kids have an amazing relationship with them, everybody is growing within that family, and they wrote a book on it. Why wouldn't you, if they had a training on it, if they had an online course where you can go online and watch them on a video teach the simple principles, here's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 step process in order to become a great parent. Why wouldn't you take the time? Why wouldn't you spend the money? So many people say, well, it costs money to learn from somebody. A book costs $20. An online course may cost $200, $500, $1,000. A seminar, to go to a seminar might cost $500, $1,000, $2,000. Why would I spend that money? Well, why wouldn't you? Most people spend more money on the outside of their head than they do on the inside of their head. They don't take the time to spend. Look, if you have more money spent on, like Jim Rohn would say, donuts, and not enough money spent on books, there's no wonder why your life is not where you want it to be. If somebody has look, it's so easy to get to success. Success leaves clues. If you have somebody who's already successful, you do what they did and you get what they have. And that's what this is all about. Increasing your equity as far as information is finding the people who already have what you want and getting and doing exactly what they did to get what they have. It's that simple. So when you want to get somewhere, spend the extra money, spend the extra time. Why not? Why not take the information and run with it? Because once you have their information, you have their information and your information, which makes you better than them, right? But seriously, that's all you have to do. All you have to do is go out there and get the information. Spend the money, spend the time, spend the resources, do whatever you need to do. Because my question to you is your dreams worth it? Okay, let's just say the online course costs $500. Is it worth it to get the information necessary, and that $500 can change your family forever? That $500 can change your fitness forever. That $500 can change your finances forever. If you took that $500 course and it changed everything, and you went from having $0 in a savings account, making $20,000 a year, and you learned enough where you could take your $20,000 a year and turn it to $50,000 a year, and you hit the $0 in savings, and you have $10,000 in savings, was it worth the $500? Of course it was, but hindsight is 20/20. You see, most people are looking to have the success before they actually have the knowledge. Get the knowledge, you get the success. Simple.